Okay, so in part one, we learned how to find slope intercept given a graph. And so in part one, we did rise over run, and they gave us the slope, and then we see where it crosses the y-axis, and that gives us the y-intercept. The y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, right? So on the back, you guys are going to do number 5 and number 6. Okay, so bring that to class tomorrow to kind of prove to me you understood how to find slope, y-intercept, and the equation. Okay, next you're going to learn how to find the slope-intercept form given a table. Okay, so when we have a table, there is a certain method we use. It's called the substitution method. So the first thing we do is we have to find the change in y over the change in x. So we find the change in y here. Okay, so from -3 to -1, we're adding 2. And then from -2 to -1, we're adding 1. Okay, and we put the change in y over the change in x, so the slope m equals +2 over 1, or you could just say 2. So my slope is 2. And so when it comes to the y-intercept, in order for us to make our equation, the first thing you do is you look at the table. And you look at when x is 0, what happens to the y. So when x is 0, y is 1. So this is my y-intercept. So if they give you, let me zoom in. If they give you when x is 0, if they say, hey, when x is 0, y is 1, well then automatically I know that m is equal to 2, because I figured that out, and then I know b is equal to 1, because when x is 0, y is 1. The y-intercept is where the line crosses the y-axis. The x is 0 whenever the line crosses the y-axis. So when we have a table and it says x is 0, then I'm going to look over here and see what happens for the y side. When I input 0, it outputs 1, so my y-intercept is 1. And then I figured out earlier that my slope is 2 over 1, or just 2, right? So my equation for this table is y equals 2x plus 1. However, let me check. It isn't always that easy. So I want you guys to do these two. So do this example and do this example, right? So you have that, have these two done when you come to class, this example and this example. And again, they gave us what happens when x is 0. So this is our y-intercept, and then the same thing here. This is the y-intercept, because when x is 0, y is 3 in this table, and then in this one, when x is 0, y is -1. So that's my y-intercept. That's my plus b, right? Or in this case, minus b. That's my intercept, and then we just find the slope by finding the change. Okay? You find the change, and then they give us 0, 3, so that tells me right away that that's my intercept. But if you flip over to the second page, we have a table that does not give us when x is 0. And so this is important because we have to substitute when this happens. And so here's what I mean by that. The first thing we do, we always find the slope first. Always find the slope first. So the change in y over the change in x. So from 5 to 13, okay, from 5 to 13 is 8 plus 8. And then from 2 to 4 is plus 2. So my slope, m, is equal to 8 over 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So my slope is equal to 4. What I do from this point is I substitute, okay? I'm going to use the equation y equals mx plus b. I know that my m is 4, so I'm going to write y equals 4x plus b. How do I know that the m is 4? Well, I solve for the slope, and the slope is 4, and that 4 goes where the m is. So now I have y equals 4x plus b. To solve for the b, I'm going to substitute this x and this y. This y comes from this table, and this x comes from this part of the table. So what I mean by that is I want to input, when I input 2, it outputs 5. So the 5 I'm going to put where the y is. 5 equals 4, because that's my slope. I just bring it down, times the 2, times my input of 2, and then plus b. I bring that down. So again, let me go back. Let me start over. We started with the equation y equals mx plus b. I then put in the 4 for m because I figured out that my slope is 4. So I wrote out y equals 4x plus b. Okay, I have to figure out what that plus b or that y-intercept is. In order to figure that out, I need to input an ordered pair from my table. I chose the first one. Any of them will work. Okay, I chose the first ordered pair 2, 5. Right? When x is 2, y is 5. So I just kind of plug that into my equation. Y is 5, x is 2. Y is 5, x is 2. It's the same two numbers. So now I do the math. 4 times 2 is 8. So 5 equals 8 plus b. Now, this is, I want to get this b by itself, right? And so it's adding, it's 8 plus the b, okay? So in order to remove, if I'm adding 8, I need to subtract 8 to get it out of the way. So I'm going to subtract 8 from this side, and then subtract 8 from that side. So I'm going to end up with a negative number. I'm going to end up with the negative 3 is equal to b. Again, I plugged in 5 and 2, 5 and 2. I just multiplied these two numbers because that's what that means. You multiply 4 times 2. It gave me 8. I brought down 5. I brought down my variable. I brought down b. Right? And then all I did was I subtracted 8 because it was adding 8, and I did the inverse. So I subtracted 8. And whatever I do to one side of an equation, I must do to the other side of the equation, or else it's not equal. If I do it to one side and not to the other, it's not equal. So I have to make sure I keep everything balanced. So 5 minus 8 is a negative 3. And since there's nothing here, all it leaves is the b. And so now I figured out that b is equal to negative 3. So my equation is y equals 4x minus 3. Because m is my 4, and then minus 3 is my b. Now the way to tell if this works, you just input one of the x values, and we'll see if it outputs the y value. So if I input 4, it should output 13. So if I said y equals 4 times that 4 minus 3, what does that equal? Well, 4 times 4 is 16 minus 3 is 13. So it does balance out. 13 equals 4 times 4 minus 3. It does balance out. It is equal. Okay, so you guys can do you guys can do the same thing over here, the substitution method. And again, I know that for the first time we see this, it's confusing, but I promise when we come to class and we do them, you will understand it. Okay, what I need you to understand is how we found the slope and how I plugged in those numbers. All I did, all the variable is, all these letters, y, m, x, b, all those letters are placeholders. Okay, so I put in numbers instead of the letters, and I just did the math. Um, so again, we graph equations in y equals mx plus b. So I want you guys to try this table as well as the two before.